behind him, this furniture, behind him and the books. That's about it. And the door. Another point of, for that one I did actually have to draw another vanishing point because it's a very strong element, and you know the shape of the door, so I didn't want to mess that one up. So that's the only reason I actually took my time with that one. Again, this is a flat composition, but you know exactly what these guys are feeling. I'm using this giant guy in the foreground to kind of frame all of the rest of the other characters. You can see how the space between his face and his shoulders and his hand is basically framing this guy. You can also, even though they're skeleton, you can kind of also see that he is kind of like scared or impressed, or you know, his attention is in this thing that is falling right now. You can also see in this characters who are being framed by, again, this giant element that I put in the middle of the composition and the frame of the panel, the edge of the panel. You can see that every character is looking at something else but this guy. This is the only stupid guy who's going to get killed in the next panel. But you can see that because, again, I caught your attention with the big face, just looking kind of like up to the element that is actually falling, which is the element I want you to look at too. And then you can see the reaction of the other characters, except for this one who I decided to straight on draw flat, just side view of this character. That's enough. And the background just flat, just a bunch of squares pretending to be frames. So here, again, I'm telling you a story. What's the story here? This guy, what is he doing? Kind of help me out with this one. Let's see if I did it right. You were
walking.
What?
He's walking.
Yeah, but what is he doing? This is supposed to be a dark scene, but it's even darker here. It's not kind of. I wonder if I can change it. But basically, this is not going to work. Sorry, failed. But basically, this is a big element who is basically black. This is supposed to be a lighter blue. You could see it in the screen, but it's not working in the projector. But what I'm trying to tell here is, yeah, that guy is walking into this whole scene. But what is his attention? This big foreground element. You still have that guy being kind of the center of interest. Again, biggest contrast. This guy is supposed to be your second of interest. Why? Not as much contrast, but still, foreground element is placed right there, right in your face. You want to tell a story. You know that this is like he's coming from a lighter place, into this darker place where he's about to meet whoever that character is. Sorry about the projection. See if I can do it later. Okay, again, your normal scene. Basically the script said 2 kids sitting outside an office where 2 guys are talking inside. I could have chosen a lot of different angles, but they all seem flat. They all seem like I'm not creating this enough sensation of space, enough sensation of depth, because it's just 2 kids sitting, and there's 2 people talking behind a window, behind them. So what did I do? Big foreground element. This is the big frame of this panel. This panel was placed at the top right corner of the page. This big element served as the left framing device. The right framing device, basically the edge of the panel. You also have this element framing you right here. This is the other contrast element. Your attention goes to whatever is happening in the middle of them. The 2 kids. They're in a hall, in an office. You see the door, you see the windows, you see the 2 shades. Again, same situation, a little bit more attractive for a reader. It's not just a straight on shot of someone's face. Again, here we go. Another panel. The guy's reading the FBI folder. What did I do? I placed the folder in the foreground. I took an upshot. He's supposed to be surprised by what he's looking at. We're looking at his expression, his face, everything is reading. Whatever is in that folder, we're not showing that to the reader. Everything in that folder is basically there. It's basically traumatizing this guy. That's what I'm doing. Another one. The girl that we saw falling to her death, she's hanging for dear life. What do I do? Foreground element, the important element, you see a hand holding to the ledge. Basically, whatever happens is gonna, like, she's, basically, that's what you need to know. She's that close to being dead. Then you see the body fall, in doing the foreshortening. How? Because you see a foreground element of this, her hand overlapping her arm, her face, her torso, her legs, everything is overlapping each other. And then you see the background that is almost flat, and it's another dead guy. You know exactly where this is going. Here, you want to pull closer and closer and closer. I'm taking an, basically describing the situation. You want to know what's inside that temple. You go from outside, you have elements in the foreground. You go closer to you know exactly where to look at, the point of contrast, everything is pointing to that direction, and then you know, here, you're inside that. What I did was repeat the composition in a sense of, by creating that kind of like vanishing point, or like creating this being your center of attention in both things, you know, like this is basically a camera just going closer, closer, and closer, whether the step is not as obvious as it should be, or as it could be. What I told you here, one panel, framing the two main characters with two secondary characters. There I used the car almost as a framing device in the sense of, this is not actually closing anything, this is actually just being the medium. You have the one police, one character who is important, a car, big foreground element, you know what it is, secondary character. You go back, another situation, they're being chased by these dudes. You have one vanishing point over there, and then you just place different planes to create that sensation of death with line weight, with overlapping. Similar situation, you go closer, you have the first panel with the street, you do looking down at this guy, then you look straight forward to this guy. I'm not doing anything here, but showing you this guy. This is what I'm talking about when you have to balance all these resources and make it a little bit, you know, about the story. Like it's about him. You see where he is, now you see him, and now you see the context again. Again, here, framing devices, planes, the little kid in front of her, line weight different, framing device on the third panel, and then just a straight on shot. Yeah, it has that perspective, but because of the story, I could have gone with like a camera like kind of like behind the desk, or like actually from the point of view of the guys. But no, this actually tells the story a little bit better. It's actually really funny because it's just a giant desk, kind of hidden like 11 guys, and so you see them like over there. Like it's the timing, is the pausing, is how you want to tell the story, and you use everything to tell that story that way. I'm going to show you just one last sequence, and then you see this is actually panel by this story. Situation here, you see this guy walking in this bank that he's robbing. You don't want to see his face just about now, so I take a down shot. You kind of see everything that he's been doing. Like you see him, how creepy he is. You see kind of like the victims and kind of like the rest of what he's doing around him. Then you go from behind his shoulder. Again, foreground element, he's the important guy. You see the secondary guy being framed by him. Then big reveal. Here I did foreshortening, I did planes, I did everything because this is my big shot. This is my big mind image. Like this is him saying, this is me. Finally, you look at my face. So again, this hand, bigger, almost as big as his torso. You know that hand is in front of everything else. You see how that hand is retreating in space, going to the torso because of the elements overlapping. You see him, he's basically flat. You see the big foreground element of the bank teller over on this side being the victim, being basically overwhelmed by this other dude. Again, a down shot, we still see him, we see what's happening, and then we're hiding the hero by keeping her off frame, but you still have him on the foreground, being the important character, and then, again, situation where everything is leading by planes to what the next action is, which is this, electrocuting the guy. The guy falls, you see him, the face, you see the impact, you see every element of his body just returning in space. And then you pull back again, you pull back again into telling the rest of the story where everything is calm, the situation has passed, the danger is gone, now it's just about calm. Okay, so let me see how much time I do have, but that was my presentation, that part. Okay, we still have a couple of minutes. Let me just change this. I'm going to do a demonstration of how, because, well, usually you understand better when you see it being done. But in any case, if you have any questions, feel free to ask. I'm going to be trying to answer those questions with also examples. So any questions?